Oh no, Project Wildflower Solar Farm.
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock market. Today's a Friday edition with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
It is going fantastic.
Yeah, like I was saying, I've already been on video with, our other broadcaster, Mike. We're hot and heavy on some renewable energy projects.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, at some point, we'll probably want to talk about it.
Yeah, at some point.
Yep.
Anyways, let's lead off talking about, I got this article about battery replacements and statistics. So this article came from Jalopnik, but it's talking about statistics that Recurrent has come up with. Now, if you don't know, Recurrent is a company that measures your battery. So you can go to recurrent.com and they have ways you can test your battery to see what percentage of life it still has. Yeah. And if you're shopping for a used EV, you want to make sure you get a Recurrent report on the battery. So it'll tell you, it'll rate it. And so basically, if you're above 70% on the battery, it's not eligible for a warranty replacement. But generally, you're going to look at used cars, and they're going to be somewhere between 90 and 99% of the original thing. I've actually seen a couple that were at 100, but that just seemed really random that some still had 100-mile battery.
Depended how they drove.
Or 100% battery, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, people always want to talk about, they don't know much about EVs, about how expensive it's going to be to replace that battery pack. The thing is, I was looking at some used Lucid Airs a couple of days ago. So you can pick up a used Lucid Air in the Omaha market for $43,000.
I've seen one.
Yeah, there's a nice burgundy one for about $43,000.
I think that's the one I saw.
It only has 20,000 miles on it. Those things have a 150,000-mile battery warranty.
Wow.
Okay.
There you go.
And it was only like a year old. That you're a Lucid for that price. It's basically a brand new car.
Oh yeah. So what? So are you thinking about it?
I don't know. It's tempting, but I'm just saying that it's interesting to see, because some of these battery warranties are so long, and some of these EVs have been driven so little that the used ones, it's kind of nuts. I also had looked at like some of the Chevy Silverados, because there are some that are available now in the low 50s. Not that I need a truck, but in the low 50,000s, and these are $100,000 new trucks, and the warranty in those things is like, you basically pick one up used, you're going to have another 80,000 minimum miles to drive on the damn thing.
Oh yeah. You'll probably be ready to get something else by the time that thing gets up in that range. So,
but okay, so according to research from Recurrent, an EV battery tracking startup, calling it a startup, well, to me they've been around a little bit. Some early EVs did experience battery degradation issues that didn't make them good long-term buys. That isn't the case today. Now, if you ignore major recalls from Chevy Bolts and Hyundai Konas, the battery replacement EV rate on EVs is about 4%. Okay. Those numbers are also really skewed, though, towards early EVs. First generation EVs, which they consider to be cars built between 2011 and 2016, had a battery replacement rate of about 8.5%. Second generation, they consider from 2017 to 2021, dropped that figure to only 2%. So you're looking at and a lot of those have already been replaced. Okay. And Gen 3 vehicles are anything from 22 on, it's only 1/3%.
1/3%, yeah.
Or the 0.3%. So newer cars are less likely to need, that due to age. But, one of the things that you've got, literally thousands of Tesla Model 3s have been used as taxis. Essentially, whether it be a taxi service or Uber or Lyft or whatever, People have been running them like that for crazy. And in comparison, your early Model 3, the technology is really improved and the replacement rate has really dropped. OEMs have really figured out how to keep lithium-ion batteries safe and happy. New EV batteries should work fine for at least 15 years. And it's possible to have some issues. I know that a lot of the folks that sell used EVs really push the extended battery warranties.
Yeah.
And but I don't know how necessary those really are, especially when you consider like on a lot of the Teslas.
Well, all of them, with the exception, I think, of California, all of them have an 8-year warranty on the battery, and in
8-year,
California,
100,000 mile is the minimum,
yeah,
but a lot of them have up to 150,000.
yeah. And then you've got GM or California, which I think is a 10-year warranty, and whatever mileage they tack onto that. So yeah, so there's, when was the last time you drove? Well, I've driven. Always having generally bought used cars. I've driven cars with 150, 200,000 miles on them, but not for long.
No, Rivian has a 175,000 mile battery warranty. Lucid has 150. Tesla has 150 on the X and the S, and then 120 on all of the extended range of the 3 and the
So it's
Y.
It's not. I think the guy that wrote the Jalopnik article commented, basically, you can kind of forget about. You don't have to worry about this anymore. It's not a problem.
Well, and now with the price of batteries, the price of a used battery or of a replacement battery is going to be much, much less. All right. So this is kind of some big numbers. BYD plans 2,000 European auto dealerships by 2026. That's next year.
Oh yeah.
As it ramps up this challenge to U.S. car brands. When the Chinese do stuff, they do it fast, and they're really ready to put some money out there. 2,000 dealerships. It's hard to imagine just the workforce in setting up all of those dealerships.
Oh yeah, but of course, there's a big population they can draw from, and a very well-educated population from China. But these are probably all, the small nucleus of BYD people, and then going out and recruiting people in, across Europe, which involve multiple languages.
So earlier this year, BYD surpassed Tesla in European sales, and last month in the UK, they outsold Tesla 7-1.
Yep.
BYD has announced ambitious plans, including setting itself a goal of 1.5 million overseas sales next year, compared to around 1 million in 25. They'll be doubling its dealerships in Europe. So at the end of this year, they expect to have already 1,000 dealerships in Europe and 2,000 by the end of next year. Let's see, they're about to open their first production plant in Hungary, which will be its first in Europe. I know that we've discussed before, they've been talking about making them in Turkey as well.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's just hard to fathom that it's.
Well, they've apparently, they've built a product that people are willing to buy, invest in. So
let's see here.
The other thing, before talking about BYD, they have, there was quite a bit of controversy about how they were basically sticking their suppliers for literally months before paying them. Apparently, they have officially. There's been a lot of pressure from the government on down to get away from that particular accounting system that gives the suppliers an IOU that comes due a year later. So they're moving away from that now. So maybe that'll build some confidence, because obviously the dealers and things, I would think, in Europe are looking at that now. Reliable a supplier are they, and what's the quality of their product? So apparently are passing, if they're going for 2,000, they're passing whatever that test is.
So let's talk about the Norwegian Chinese bus scandal. So,
Yeah. Oh, it's not just there. It's also, I think, Denmark or
yeah,
yeah, I think it's Denmark or maybe Netherlands. One of the or both of them have found this problem.
yeah. So Norway took a Chinese electric bus and drove it deep into a mine to see if it could be hacked. And after doing this, they wanted to see if the Chinese electric buses were capable of being hacked. And in the mine, it could be. Um, the electric now this Chinese electric bus scandal is one of the most shocking stories, definitely to come out of the EV world, and it's centered around the capital of Oslo. Oslo's transport authority, Ruder, struck a major deal with Chinese automaker Yutong. About,
Big
about
supplier of e-buses. Yeah.
yeah, roughly 300 new electric buses would join the city's fleet as part of Norway's plan to make it all public transport emission free by 2030. It was a celebration for the Norwegians and the Chinese. For Oslo, each one promised lower running costs, seamless over the air updates, and data driven performance tracking. It became a case study in clean mobility, efficient, connected, and scalable. In the background, Reuters engineers were secretly conducting cybersecurity tests on the new fleet, and it brought up a shocking weakness. The Yutong EV buses could be accessed remotely from servers in China. Through the software, the manufacturer could theoretically shut the fleet
Yeah, if they
down
wanted to.
remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was made possible through a remote chip that operates each bus. The panic then spread to Denmark and the United Kingdom. Movia, the largest public transport provider in Denmark, has 262 electric buses from Yutong. And the UK also began integrating these Chinese electric buses into its existing fleet. Let's see.
The TikTok problem comes to electric buses, apparently.
Yeah. Um, Norway and Denmark alerted Britain of the existence of dual use kill switches in Chinese made electric buses. They allow China to switch off the buses and bring chaos to transport systems. It has sparked a debate about how reliant the West is on these new technologies. Well, that's not something we're really looking for. Let's see.
Well, I would
Yeah,
assume there's a way to maybe replace that chip or do something to
they don't give any solutions in the
yeah,
article. I'm sure they're
yeah.
working on something,
Oh yeah.
but who knows what that may be. So, we have our stock ticker going across, and it shows Tesla as being up today.
Yeah, I saw
But
that. Yeah.
yeah, but it's down below $400. It had been up to around 470, 480, I think. Anyways, so Tesla stock is struggling despite shareholder victory on Musk's pay package. And even though he got the approval, Tesla stock is having its worst November on record, down significantly from recent highs. Tesla profits have been declining throughout the year, creating investor concerns about future performance despite Musk's ambitious plans for Optimus robots.
Especially when you've got 2,000 BYD dealerships in China and outselling them. Yeah.
Well, in Europe,
In Europe, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's nuts to think about, what BYD's been able to do. But Musk has been warning about this. So that's not something new in the car space.
And somewhat ironically, they use BYD batteries in the Chinese-made Teslas. So there's in fact, there was last week, or was it earlier this week? There was an article came out that Tesla, and BYD joining forces, and they were talking about this fact that they, the looking apparently at using the blade battery or whatever. So it's I guess it's a two-edged sword. The one Tesla provides a market for BYD batteries, and BYD builds cars that sell better than Tesla. So
Yeah, well,
interesting world.
yeah. All right. Also from Elon Musk, Elon predicts work will be optional within 10 to 20 years.
Oh, okay. I won't be
Yeah,
around to see it, but
yeah.
maybe.
Speaking at a U.S. Saudi Investment Forum 2 days ago, Musk claimed that AI and robotics will make work optional and money irrelevant. He projects that 80% of Tesla's future value will come from Optimus humanoid robots, despite ongoing production delays. Vision raises questions about universal basic income and societal transformation in the coming decades. Yeah, it's just hard to fathom how that would work. Or
Did you see the video of the Xpeng robot?
mm-mm.
Oh, you have to go look that up because man, it dances rings around Optimus. In fact, what they did, because it was so realistic that people were commenting on the internet, nah, that's just a human being dressed up. So what they did is they had one of the engineers come out and cut away the fabric and the mesh and things that goes around I think they were doing the right leg of this robot, and
Mhm.
at least that part that they revealed, unless they had an amputee that was, hiding in that costume and with a prosthetic leg. That thing was a robot, and what it could do in terms of its dexterity is just phenomenal, phenomenal.
Let's see here what we get. Yeah, it's
walking just like a human. Chinese tech
There it
company
is.
has
Yeah.
unveiled the second generation of its humanoid robot named Iron. The robot demonstrated smooth human-like walking, drawing strong reactions from the audience. According to the company, Iron's new capabilities include a human-like spine, bionic muscles, soft synthetic skin, and 3 self-developed Turing AI chips, technology designed to enable autonomous decision-making.
well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they
well,
had it apparently in the one video. You saw a little clip of it there at the beginning. Had it catwalk. You know how the models come down and they got that kind of crossover, kind of a leg sway and
right.
accentuates the hips and so on. So they did that with this one, and then they got it at the end of the catwalk or wherever it was, and then cut away the fabric to show the metal, leg and foot below it.
Huh. Yeah. Well, robotics is pretty cool. It's hard to say though, where that really gets, but I don't know. With how much AI is improving on a constant basis, you just never know where they're going to get
Yeah.
with some of this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's an interesting sci-fi like world we're moving into here.
Yeah, it sure is. Let's see. 3 Mile Island restart gets a $1 billion federal loan. I assume that's from the Department of Energy.
They received a loan? Did you say, or
It
restart
was
with the help of the loan?
Approved.
Oh, they approved the loan. Okay.
So approved a $1 billion loan to Constellation Energy to restart 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor. This is the reactor that was shut down like 7 years ago.
Yeah,
this isn't the one that was shut down, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it'll power Microsoft data centers, highlighting tech industry's growing nuclear power demand for AI. A separate $1.8 billion loan was approved for Constellation's Crane Clean Energy Center, which adds 835 megawatts of baseload power. Not sure exactly what all the Crane Clean Energy Center has as part of it, but that's still some pretty big loans from the DOE.
Yeah.
The DOE is going to prioritize fossil fuels and nuclear over renewables now. There goes all the Jiggers work, right? Yeah, it's interesting how much criticism some of his work got. It seemed very hopeful when we had our chat with him.
Yeah, it does not make any difference. They're whatever they think they can encourage, and they open up the Arctic for exploration, and nobody wants to bid on it, right? They say, well, we're going to go back to coal. Okay, well then maybe they improve the coal. And of course, we have this issue here in, with the North Omaha power plant. That's an ongoing, movement to try to convert it over to natural gas instead of burning coal. But from what I'm seeing in the media, and take it for what it's worth, uh, those efforts to encourage us to step back are going to do nothing. They're not, they may have a little victory here and there, but the tides, the financial tides, if you want to talk about it, the financial tides of this whole thing are shifting over to a more sustainable, renewable future, regardless of what a fossil fuel soaked administration at the moment is looking to do. Governor of Oregon, just an example, has issued a I don't know what you would call it, a call. I'm going to call it. It's not an edict or an order or anything like that, but she has issued a statement that she wants the state to accelerate its shift over to renewable energy. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, of course, Newsom's having some issues with what to promote and what not to promote and things, but the trend is in the direction of going. It just, renewables and sustainability, and it just makes sense. I mean, like I said, I've been working for the past couple of days on a proposal to what we call an agrivoltaic proposal, which blends agriculture and solar. And boy, unless the AIs that I'm working with, and I'm working with multiple ones just to cross check them, unless they're just totally hallucinating, the numbers really look good. And we'll see where it goes. But this the trend. Just get a spreadsheet, work a spreadsheet, and you find out where people are putting their, the guys with the money, where they're putting the money. And then, generally speaking, as a rule, and this, because you're heavily involved in that, that's where they want to go ultimately.
Yeah, there's no question. When you can invest the money once and it keeps producing revenue.
Yeah. The one I'm working on, I'm looking at a 25-year power purchase agreement, and combining that with some other kind of interesting, I won't go into details, but some interesting approaches of what to do with the land on which the arrays are erected. And holy crap, you don't even want to think about going into row crops, soybeans and corn. It ain't making you any money. In fact, you're losing money. This is making money and would really do well, assuming weather factors and things like that.
All right. Let's see. We may have talked about California battery storage, I think. A different day. They've hit 17 gigawatts, 1/3 of their 2045 goal already for California. Let me see. EV charging infrastructure expansion slows down as demand moderates. Charging infrastructure investment growth has slowed relative to EV sales growth, creating potential bottleneck. Wisconsin allocated $14 million for 24 new charging stations at gas stations and hotels. And an organization called IONNA, IONNA, announced $250 million investment in California charging infrastructure, with 1,100 plus charging bays live or under construction nationwide. Not familiar with them, but that's $250 million is a pretty good chunk.
That's pretty good, yeah.
All right, so I've got something here in battery news. A breakthrough battery cooling technology promises 10-minute EV charging, even though we already know there's 5-minute EV charging.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like 6-minute abs, 7-minute abs.
Yeah,
that's going to be the new thing. Here, do an ab workout while you're charging your car.
Yeah, exactly.
EV.
Yeah, get a little exercise. Yeah.
Hydrohertz unveiled new battery cooling technology a few days ago, enabling 10-minute full charges. QuantumScape hosted a second annual solid-state battery symposium in Japan, highlighting industry momentum towards next-gen battery tech. What I still haven't seen is people talking about the economics of solid-state batteries. I've seen lots of discussion about how superior they are,
Right.
but never a discussion on the economics.
Yeah.
So nobody's brought one to market really, because I'm assuming the economics suck. Okay. but at some point they're hopeful that it's going to work out. Multiple companies are reporting progress on solid state and enhanced cooling systems that could eliminate range anxiety by 27 and 28. Well, people with range anxiety are simply people that don't know much about EVs.
No. Once you do
So-
it, yeah. You've got, look, most modern EVs that you buy now that are on sale have a range generally of at least 250, and a lot of them are 300 miles. Now we're seeing ones that have 500 miles of range, and there's even talk now of getting up to 800. And that's not in a PHEV EREV kind of mode. This just strictly battery. So, progress is being made at an incredibly, rapid pace in this area.
Let's see here. Okay, let's talk about the Canadian guy. So Canadian takes his
Yeah.
Tesla Model Y to a supercharger at minus 31 Fahrenheit to see what would happen and is taught a lesson. Let's see.
I'm gathering he does not have charging in his garage at home. So he apparently has to go somewhere to do this. And what he did was, of course, you cannot charge a battery that's been sitting in the cold minus 31. You've got to preheat it. So there's a function within the car, it's in my Bolt and obviously in his Tesla, that allows you to precondition the battery to get it to where it can be charged. And he used like 33% of his charge just driving to the charger, preconditioning his battery to get it charged up.
Wow. Yeah, a third was used, which was 5.4% more than projected by the Model Y.
Yeah.
And despite using lots of electricity, he explained that Tesla still couldn't warm itself up enough in the minus 36 Fahrenheit weather. The car is sure making some funky sounds, said as the Tesla slowly made progress.
Yeah.
It was performing at almost fully normal charging speeds of 140 kilowatts at 40%, but as time went on, this slowed down to 110 kilowatts. Using the supercharger was expensive. The driver spent $12 to get around 62% of a charge.
Yeah, about 23 kilowatt hours or something like that.
Yeah.
What he found was, interestingly, is that because this factor where it starts off charging fairly quickly and then starts to trail off and slow down, so you got this kind of a curve, he found that actually it made more sense for him to go to slower, cheaper chargers because they would charge at a more steady rate than what he was getting. And apparently they were also a lot less expensive than, because he was charging, I think he figured out, 59 cents a kilowatt hour?
Yeah, it was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you and I here, we pay, 12 cents a kilowatt hour. So big difference. 5x.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is the complaint over in the UK that charging an EV, at a public charger is more expensive than buying gas. And that's, one of the problems. It's more of a UK thing, but even at 59 cents, it probably still makes it about the same price as buying gas.
I'm not capable. I mean, we can do the math with AI.
I'm just saying it's pretty expensive.
Actually, I think that would be more expensive than gas. Gas is here in the Midwest, we're about $2.65 a gallon, something like that. And there's roughly 33 kilowatt hours of energy in a gallon of gasoline. So you figure 23. So, he's probably costing him more than if he'd gone and bought gasoline.
Yeah.
I'll work it out later.
Anyways, did you have anything else you wanted to cover today, Bill?
No, I think that's it. There's, of course, like I said, the last couple of days I've been preoccupied with my wildflower solar farm project and testing the byproduct. I get to test little samples of my byproduct in the morning, and I gave 2 samples of 2 different byproducts and to my wife, and she looked up and said, "Yes." So I'll tell more about it later. Some other time.
I was at the gym a couple of days ago, and one of the trainers just randomly came up and started talking about cars to me. He was asking me if I'd heard of Lucid and if I knew what model cars Lucid made. He was trying to look it up, and it's like, well,
the air and the gravity. No.
Yeah, and he was asking. I go, you can find a lot of information about electric vehicles at evworld.com, and I said you might even see pictures of people you might know on there, and. Anyways, but he kept asking questions, kind of random conversation. It's like, yeah, you really should look at evworld.com.
Yeah.
There's lots of good stuff there. You could find out about EVs. And he didn't know that I do.
Yeah.
It wasn't somebody that knew that I did this.
I had an interesting, I was at a political event last night for a gentleman who's running for Congress. And we sat down at a table because they had pizza for us. And, I bought some beer and things. And the lady sitting across from us, is a medically retired Air Force. I don't know if I would assume she was, might have been an officer at one point. I don't know. I didn't get her rank, but she talked about how she had flown over 250 missions into and out of Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, wow, fascinating, and I, of course, wanted to learn more, but then they came over those live speakers and said, if you're parked over in such and such a lot, you have to move your car because you're going to get locked in, right? So I have to go and find someplace else to park, which turned out to be about a block away. And by the time I got back, she's walking out, and I was like, well, dang, I wanted to talk to her more. And she said, well, I was talking to your wife, and he said, I've got your website here. And I said, really? And she pulls up her phone and she shows us the EV World website on her phone. Wow,
nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, folks.
Okay.
We've had lots of people watching today, but it's going to be a short day today. We've covered everything we want to. We'll be back on Tuesday.
And maybe I'll have more content on the website. But
yeah. Well, next week's American Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving, of course, and that's what. Also, yesterday was taken up going to a couple different stores to buy supplies, for the celebration and things. So, yeah, we will see you all. Let's see. Well, we'll still be here. We'll be here Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So, we'll see you all then.
All right.